Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir. My name is Sudhir and I hope all my friends are doing well. I guess most of the schools in all parts of the country would have opened. Of course, it's also rain fury in many parts that would make going to school a little difficult. But well, there is also the romance of the rain, isn't it? I guess now you would be more familiar with what the syllabus is now that there are physical classes. The council, the ICSE council for class 10 as well as class 12 has put out some of the specimen papers. That's the big news from the ICSE council. And in this video, I'm going to discuss the English language and the English literature paper, which has been released. Why is this video important? Because the format of the question paper is different from what it was in 2022, which had 2 semester papers. It's also different from the papers that your super seniors did in say years like 2018, 19 and in 2020. 21 mein to paper hua hi nahi tha. Okay, so let's look at both the English language and the English literature paper so that you understand. I'll show you the paper so that it's easy for you to understand what are the changes. It's important for you to understand the syllabus and the format of the question paper right at the beginning of the year so that you can prepare accordingly. Okay, so shall we get started? Okay, now you are seeing the English language paper on your screen. This is the English language paper, the English 1 paper. The difference out here is that some of the grammar portion has been changed the way you would be answering the questions. Let's go through it one by one. Okay, let's first look at the composition. No change in it, 300 to 350 words. It says do not spend more than 30 minutes on this question. Last year, the students had the luxury of spending close to 35 to even 40 minutes on the composition. You will not have more than 30 minutes. So I always tell my students that target 25 minutes for the essay and keep 5 minutes as buffer. That would be the ideal way to go about it. So it's pretty much the same one: original essay, argumentative essay, narrative, descriptive, and a picture composition. Then we come to the letter after that, which is again the same, the informal letter and the formal letter. Notice an email, again, no difference, pretty much the same. The changes now come in the remaining 40 marks. Baki ke 40 marks mein farak hai, so please listen to this carefully. The composition paragraph has been given, which was like it was last year. Now, the 3 word meanings that are given. Earlier, you had to write it out. That is till 2020, you had to write it out. Last year, they gave it in the form of MCQs in semester 1. They have continued with giving the MCQ so that you will have now 4 options. Now, some of you may think, अरे इससे तो बहुत आसानी हो जाएगा. आसानी हो तो जाएगा कि at least idea हो जाएगा कि क्या मतलब है. But there could be some options which could be very close to each other, and that would make selection difficult, especially if you are not familiar with the word. Okay, so it does not mean that you stop learning new words. You need to improve your vocabulary at least for these 3 marks, which is part of the comprehension passage. Okay, so that's one change which has happened. Then there are these 5 questions for 9 marks, which is pretty much the same the way it used to be over the years till 2020. And the presi and the summary is also the same, not like last year where it was in the MCQ format, but in the format till 2020, जब 50 word में आपको एक particular question का answer देना है. Okay, ये कैसे करना है वगैरह, that we will deal with it as part of our courses. Okay, now the big changes happened as far as the typical grammar portion is concerned. In the verbs and tenses, which is for 4 marks, it is the same as per the 2020 format, wherein no options are given. You need to fill in the blanks for those 4 marks. 8 fill in the blanks are there, which you need to fill up. The second one, again for 4 marks, is of prepositions, which again is the same like in the 2020 format, wherein you need to write the prepositions out there. Okay, so there are 8 questions, each one carrying half mark. Okay, there are no options given here. It is not an MCQ question. However, the next one, which is joining the sentences without using and, but, or, so, for 4 marks, has been given with 4 options. So you need to choose A, B, C, D. That's what is the format as well as join the sentences is concerned. Earlier till 2020, you had to actually write the sentence on your own. You would not be given any options. Now in this part, they have stuck to the MCQ format, which was there in semester 1 of the 2022 2021-22 batch. Then we come to the rewrite the following sentences, the transformation of sentences, which is for 8 marks, right? That one also has multiple options. So out of the 4 options, you need to choose the correct option. Again, I am saying it does not mean that it makes life easy. If you ask your seniors of 2021-22 batch, they would tell you that the English language paper, even with the MCQs, proved to be extremely tricky because many of the options were extremely close to each other, and that makes it very difficult. In fact, many people had a difference of opinion on what should really be the correct answer in many of the MCQs. Okay, I will tell you one thing about the English language paper. It is a paper which is the first one that you attempt. So many students out of nervousness get it wrong. Okay, mess up the paper. It is also a paper which can take your percentage there. It can also take your percentage down. And I'll tell you why it can take you down. Because many students think that Are, essay to likhna hai, letter hi to likhna hai. They tend to take it easy. As a result, what happens is that you lose marks heavily because English language, the examiners are very particular about grammar, about spellings, about content, about expression. And if you are thinking that 1 week of reading some essays is going to help you write a good essay, and by a good essay, I mean a good essay which can fetch you an 18 or a 19 or even a 17 out of 20, sorry, it will not happen. It needs consistent effort through the year, where you systematically work on different parts, format as far as the letter and the notice email is concerned, in particular, grammar, continuous exercises, continuous practice, essays and letters where you work on both the content as well as the expression. I mean, when we do it as part of our English language course on Ashwin course, we do it in a very clinical manner where we target each and every part differently. You know, we don't mix up everything. It's not a khichdi that we make. We work on each part differently. Some students have a problem with expression. Some students have a problem with grammar. Some students have a problem with using the right preposition, or they end up using the wrong preposition. Some students have a problem in getting the basic content right. So every student has different. It's almost like a doctor who gets patients with different kind of problems. So each student is dealt with differently, and that is what makes English language paper, teaching English language paper, or helping students in the English language paper, or partnering with students for the English language paper, that much of a bigger challenge. I consider it, I mean, it's a flagship course of our app, but I also think it is the most challenging paper as far as the ICSE is concerned, especially among the language ones. It's definitely more challenging than literature for sure. That's much I can tell you. Okay, so that's as far as the English language paper is concerned. Now let's look at the English literature one. Okay, this is the English literature paper, right? Here, lots of changes. So please इस वीडियो को ध्यान से सुनिए. पहली बात, 2020 तक फॉर्मेट क्या होता था? अगर आपने पुराने PYQs देखे हैं, previous year question papers देखे हैं, तो there used to be, you needed to write 5 answers from 5 different texts, each one carrying 16 marks. Okay, so 16 into 5, 80 marks. That used to be the format, and you would generally get about 9 passages, 3 from A Merchant of Venice, I think, 3 from the poems, and 3 from stories, out of which you have to write 5. Okay, now what has happened, and this is different from both 2020 as well as 2022. That is what is the strange part as far as the English literature paper is concerned. Now you have MCQs plus subjective. And in MCQs, last year, if you remember, you had 40 marks MCQs in semester 1 paper. You had 10 marks MCQs in the semester 2 paper. Now in this, you have 16 marks out of 80 in the 2023 board examination. There you see 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there are 16 questions from MOV, from the poems, from the stories, which means one thing, that you cannot afford to leave out any of the 10 poems and stories, 5 poems and 5 stories, because कहां से MCQ पूछा जाए, unless you want to give it away in charity, give away marks in charity, unless you want to do that, I would suggest don't leave out any poem or any story or any scene out of Act 3, Act 4, Act 5 of MOV either, because each and every mark matters. 16 questions for 16 marks as far as the English literature paper is concerned. Okay, this is clear. This is important, which means that 1/5 of your paper, 20% of your paper is MCQ. That leaves us with 64 marks. Now in 64 marks, what you are going to get is you have to write 4 answers of 16 marks each, and you will be given 6 questions. So 4 out of 6. Earlier it used to be 5 out of 9. Now it is going to be 4 out of 6. 5 out of 9 or 5 out of 8. I don't remember. Somehow I'm getting a little confused. But you are going to have to do 4 out of 6 questions. How are those going to be? There is going to be a section B, C and D. B, C and D में से तीनों में से एक क्वेश्चन आपको अटेम्प्ट करना है, and an extra question from any of the 3. Which means आप B में से 1, C में से 1, D में से 2 कर सकते हैं, या B में से 2, C में से 1, D में से 1. Okay, the choice is yours. Section B is Merchant of Venice. यहाँ पे आपको 2 questions दिए जाएंगे, right? And then you will be given these many questions. So this is 12 plus 4, 16 marks. Okay, so this is as far as, so if you see the reference to context, the first 3 questions are pretty much straightforward from the passage. The 4th and the 5th question are a little more generic, and that's what we will be preparing our students as far as MOV is concerned. Then you have the 3rd question again from MOV, pretty similar, 3333, and the last one is the 4th one, where there you see it's almost like a character answer of Portia. Okay, this one, the earlier one was about Shylock. Okay, then section C is about prose. Okay, where you will get again 2 questions. You have to answer at least 1. Here in the specimen paper, you have been given From All Summer in a Day and Little Match Girl, right? So you would be given, so you have 5 chapters. You also have An Angel in Disguise, you have My Greatest Olympic Prize, and you have the Blue Bead, right? So यहाँ पर उसमें से 2 पूछे जाएंगे, but Blue Bead और बाकी 3 के questions आपको section A में भी पूछे गए होंगे. Okay, so you have to answer at least 1. You can answer 2 also. Okay, so this is as far as again the prose is concerned. Section D is about poetry. In the specimen paper, you have been asked From Above Ben Adam and 9 gold medals, and you have the other 3 about the Caged Bird, Patriot, and Daffodils. Okay, so this is as far as the English literature paper is concerned. So what does it mean? Moti baat ye hai ki you have to prepare for both MCQs as well as subjective type. You have to do both. So your approach has to be, 1, very thorough in terms of knowing each and every detail of the story, especially when it comes to stories like All Summer in a Day, the Blue Bead, you know, which have a lot of detail in them, Little Match Girl. But in terms of understanding, you need to understand poems like Patriot, Caged Bird, because they are a little complicated. Even Above Ben Adam to a limited extent, right? They are a little complex kind of poems. So the English literature syllabus and this format of the question paper will test you both on thoroughness and understanding of both MOV as well as treasure trove. I hope this new format of the English language paper and the English literature paper is clear to you. Any doubts, please do ask. But I personally think this is a good way to test students pretty well, so that you know exactly how well they have understood and studied and revised the entire English literature syllabus and how well they have prepared for the English language paper. All the best to you. Bahut maza aayega. More power to each one of you out there. Thank you very much.